Okay, so this is the May 11th, 2012. It's Friday today. And I just want to point this situation out. These are basically all the people I have reported and taken steps that are involved in my case. And this is what the situation is. Right under my window here, they like to really have like a tea party and enjoy themselves, completely disrespecting and disregarding my concerns. So I think it's important to point out this group of people. Now the situation how it is here. So I consider this to be challenging bullying only. They disregard everything and they want to have it their own way. Jaz mislim, da ste seznanjeni z mojimi procedurami proti vam, ker tole zadevo konsideriram kot izzivanje in sem se zglasil tukaj, zato da bi vas prosil, da se poberete tukaj. Tukaj niste dobrodošli, kar se mene zadeva. Okay? Tudi nobeden se ne bo umiril, okay? Razložil sem ti kako in kaj so stvari, povedal sem ti, opozoril sem te in to je vse. Nič drugega ni. Kaj boste vi naredili, to je vaša zadeva. Sem pa tukaj zato, da vam razložim, kakšne so zadeve.
Pa veš, da nisi ti tukaj doma. Tu sta oče pa mama.
V redu, samo...
Ti nimaš kaj.
Samo povedal sem vam, kakšne so stvari. Da boste verili, da ne bo...
Kakšne pa so?
Da niste verili ali pa karkoli.
Kaj nisi povedal, kakšne so stvari?
Ne veste nič. No, saj tako je prav. Tako je prav.
Ne, nagnal nas je, da moramo iti. Ne vem, kakšne stvari pa so, jaz bi rada vedela.
Ja, sej, če ne veste, potem je to vaša stvar, to ni moja stvar. Ja, seveda je smešna stvar.
Ja, pa je res smešna.
Ja, seveda je smešna stvar, na svojih pritožbah vas že 2 leta omenjam in tebe tudi. In to so kriminalne obtožbe.
Smešno pa žalostno.
Vi pa se obnašate tako, kot da ne veste popolnoma ničesar. Dobra stvar je, da imam tole kamero s sabo. Ja, seveda. Ja, seveda. In njega, in njih, in njo, in vse skupaj.
Neverjetno, kaj se...
Ne, verjetno je. Zelo verjetno je, zato sem se tukaj glasil, zato da povem, da razjasnimo stvarmi. To je vse.
Toživca popisal, da...
Tako, ko ste takrat rešilca poklical, se spomnite, da me je zalaževal tam. Pa se spomnite, to je bilo leta 2007, se spomnite, kaj ste grozil, pa kaj ste naredil pol. Tako, isto stvar naredite. Tako, isto stvar, tako.
U tvoj glavi.
To, vidiš, tako, to, ja. To je smešno, seveda je smešno, zato si se poglasil tukaj. To je vse, okej? Se razumemo? Ja, se bom? Seveda, se bom.
Now, before I give you complete profile on this criminals, gangsters, not mother, father, sister, or neighbor, but hardcore criminals. Criminals no different from what was recently exposed as Fritzl in Austria. Before I give you a complete profile and its incident that will totally expose the type of people we are dealing with here. Before I give you description of that incident, I have not mentioned one anywhere, neither on my blogs or in videos. And before I go to that incident, a quick reminder how Dr. Kota was as well involved in first what threats to pronounce me as insane in case I would dare to live in United States of America during 1995-1994 departure. And this criminal have attempted to assist this family with first what were threats presented to me as that how I will be pronounced as insane if I would dare to leave the United States of America. How he would input on my medical records with Dr. Balajic wrongful information and what would finally prevent me from leaving the United States of America. It was too late for him, however, already, as I have already completed a medical examination in Austria. And secondary, just prior to my departure to the United States of America, incidents that have taken place and have involved Dr. Cotter, and according to his instructions, also local police department that have arrived in this very same house, right in the garage, at the entrance, to threaten me with assassination attempt in case I would live in United States of America in 1994. On what they realize, or I should say, upon realizing how the assassination threat how we will kill you if we will go to the United States of America. We will not allow you to go. And because I decided to leave, and they realized that I am very determined to leave in the United States, to go in the United States of America, their conditioning with assassination that involved assassination threat changed to, we will kill you, we will assassinate you if you do not return immediately from United States of America upon completion of your contract aboard ship Meridian at Celebrity Cruise Line, with whom I have signed a contract, 6-month contract. And in case I would decide to stay somehow in the United States of America, how they would make my stay in the United States of America completely impossible, as they already did prior to that in Austria, just as explained on my blogs. And will get me somehow back in so-called Slovenia, in this very house, or in this very country, whatever, and to get me killed, to get me assassinated. Now, I think it's time to give you exactly the type of profile, the type of people we are dealing with. And it's what Norwegian psychiatrists, psychologists, as well as American government have documented. I don't know how much they are willing to come up forward with the truth. However, it's time for me to give you exactly the type of profile, the type of people we are dealing with. It's something I did not describe anywhere, nor on my blogs or on my videos, but it's the story that is going to make you, I don't know, perhaps vomit. Okay? Perhaps you're going to see the world a little bit different than you did till now. Perhaps this is the story that is going to make you see things whenever the horrific stuff takes place that you read about and see. Whenever that takes place, perhaps will give you a little better idea about what exactly and whom we are dealing about in this case. It's a situation that have involved, again, exactly the same people. In fact, Dr. Igor Kotar, his wife, my mother, in a parenthesis my father, in a parenthesis my sister, in 1998, during the abduction in 1998. 3.5 month long McUltra procedures. 3.5 month long abduction. 3.5 months during which I have spent 2 months and 1 week or so and alone in so-called Slovenia. In fact, when abducted in Miami during 1998, I was first transferred to Sweden, where I stayed a week or so, from where I was transported to so-called Slovenia. Okay? Together with Norwegian psychiatrists, psychologists, caretakers, and there were also Americans involved in this situation. Few politicians at that point, caretakers, but what exclaimed me, my mother, my sister, my father, and then this gangster, Kotar, and so on, people with whom I was confident, despite abduction itself, despite this violence that was done against me, I was still somehow confident, at least I were with me, but all of a sudden, according to these criminals, according to this family and neighbor here, were gone. Okay? We are going to be talking about extreme psychological abuse. In fact, just wait and see how extreme psychological abuse that was. Between 7 and 8 or so in the evening, 1 week, upon arrival to so-called Slovenia, I was sitting at this very area, right where I sit right now. In fact, exactly with a plate as seen here in front of me, and had my mama my mother in a parenthesis. Right where you see Owen right there, preparing one of her specialties, whatever that was, and I think it was something like fried apples or whatever she fried, whatever she was preparing over there. And at Owen, I had my father in a parenthesis, my sister, and neighbors, as I stated, also here. And they began to psychologically pressure me, corner me. The idea behind it all was to psychologically break me, to psychologically cause such a severe breakdown that I would become completely submissive and easy to handle. Like a dog on the leash, basically, was the idea. The idea was psychological breakdown. The idea was to bring me to the point where I would be broken, as if you take a pencil like this, and would spend the rest of the lifetime like a garbage, like someone you can pretty much do as please. And on this particular occasion, as I was drugged up, I was sitting right where I sit right now, and I had all these people here, and right downstairs there were neighbors, and boy, I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere anymore. Where do you think you're going? This is it for you in your life. They just went down on me, and what was first suggesting them how the people that encompassed me, the people that brought me here, Norwegians and Americans, are gone, and I am completely left to my own devices. How it's exactly what I was told will take place in case I would live in the United States of America just prior to departure, and as I have stated to you, in 1994, at the end of the 1994, they started to psychologically, they went all the way down, and especially my mother was active with that psychological pressure to get me destroyed mentally. How I will spend the rest of my lifetime like a weirdo, drugged up 24/7, restrained, without family, without to have rights of any kind. Basically, how everybody is gone, I will be left here with them, and this is what my life pretty much is going to look like. And what do you think? Why have they brought you here, and you are nobody, and you are nothing, and we can do everything we want to do? And it's the mentality, is what I'm trying to tell you, people, that we are dealing with very today, at least in 2007, when I was physically assaulted by my own mother, and you could see the pictures in my blogs of her nails that she stabbed me literally in my neck. And I filed the police report against her. I filed the reports against her. It was the mentality pretty much that she can do with me whatever she's pleased as. That I was pretty much nobody, and now having me all drugged up in front of her, have felt so empowered that just really want to psychologically eat me out. You know, psychologically want to break me down and want to eat me out. And she did. To the point, with all these other people, that I was drugged up. I couldn't do absolutely anything, even if I had knife or X, and would want to chop down, and trust me, I wanted to do that badly, or more than anything, these criminals, chop them down, literally. I couldn't absolutely do anything at all about it, because this is how drugged up I was. And that's how much power these criminals have had over me. So their violence, their brutality, and I just want to remind you, these people have severely, psychologically and physically abused me, not only throughout my childhood, but almost till I left the United States at age 23. I didn't have the right to stay here. The type of treatment that I have received from these people, I just didn't want to ever see these criminals again. I rather left 8,000 kilometers away and start new life on my own, than to deal with this scum. Okay, so they felt so good about it to have me here and basically do everything as pleased with me. There was so much pressure on me in that moment that I literally decided to kill myself in front of them, to have my head split on half. And so I did slam my head against this, I'm not going to say it's very same table, but the table that was posted right here in this area. And I did so. I slammed my head with my head against the table as hard as I could, to look them back with a smile, literally. Head didn't split apart on half. It allowed me to smile back on my face and confront this scum, this gangsters, this criminals, with a smile on my face while looking them in the face and challenging them further. Their violence, their brutality against me with, is that so? I will exactly repeat the same words to you. Is that so? With a smile on my face. On what they became pale. Yeah. They became pale. The sister was shocked. And I said exactly like this. I said, what? I said, what? I said, you have me, right? You got me. Now you have me, right? You have me. I said, do you have me now? Do you have me now? And as I looked down and said, what? And as I looked down, the plate that I have shown you previously was split in parts, and blood was all over this table. And you know what, folks? I was going to do it again, but they stopped me. They stopped me. They called my best friend, from whom I thought he was a friend, but he was nothing else than a communist snitch, to have me that same evening relocated to, I believe it was his house, or I might have stayed in my room with me. These people have quit. This family of mine, this mom and papa, have quit approaching me for a little while, because they realize that I don't stand this scum at all. Now, Americans claimed how later on they were asking me well, what exactly took place, because my head was obviously injured, badly hurt, and so did Norwegians. And the truth is that, number one, I was ashamed to tell to these beautiful girls that this is my family. They were really beautiful, and I was sort of ashamed of my own family, even under the circumstances as I was, because this is no family. These are gangsters. This is a scum. These are fritzels, is what this scum is. Okay? And on the other hand, these are the people that have gotten me in this situation. This situation would not take place without them. Therefore, my explaining for what exactly have taken place to the people that have compelled me in this situation would be absurd. Excuse me. Yeah, I have not stated this anywhere on my blogs or videos, but I'm letting you know now exactly what have taken place and what type of criminals, gangsters, and not mama, papa, or sister we are dealing with here. We are not dealing with the people at all, excuse me. And if I continue and expose that criminal, that gangster that referred himself as my father, for whom I believe should be placed on electric chair together with his wife and daughter, and who suggested in the clip how everything is in my head only.
Okay, folks. So just for documentation, for the documentation purposes, and that I'm not going to have a gangster, some criminal such as my father in a parenthesis, or this communist scumbag Igor Kotter, Dr. Igor Kotter, claiming how everything is only in my head. I'm going to point this out again. This was already filed and placed online in year 2009, January of 2009. If I scroll myself up, these are my blogs that I have posted online. In fact, here is my picture. The retaliation attempt, in this case right here. Okay. This is the title. And on my filing complaint with European Court for Human Rights on February 15, 2007, just 2 weeks later, assassination attempt took place against me. It was at a place called Hell. Yeah. If translated from Slovenian pekel, it translates directly into hell, infierno, like this. This took place within the city limits of major town Trebnje, and it really involved my new car that I have imported, almost new car from United States that looked like that, and afterwards it turned into this here. A road was covered with oil. There was a huge stain oil that went, I don't know, for 100 meters or so, along the precipice, along the edge, right on the edge, along the precipice, and the idea was to just send me to hell, I guess. Very funny. That's what a communist humor is about. Anyhow, you were capable to read about one in my blogs, and if I just read you an excerpt from what took place right after the accident, it was exactly as stated here. Car started and I was able to leave immediately. Place of the accident was located in the forest. Behind the first curve was parked an ambulance van vehicle, just as the one you see right here, in which driver had rolled windows down while staring at me. Basically, driver had window rolled down, and as I drove by, as I passed by, this idiot, which obviously anticipated my death, or perhaps to finish me, if not death, 100%, have awaited on either what would be emergency call, in case I would probably call for help, or whoever was observing me inside of the forest. That's why I started the car. As soon as I have survived that assassination attempt, I started the car and just started driving, even that car was ruined, basically. I managed to stop the car inside of the city alone, so have avoided what could take place, probably, who knows, in this communist shithole, so-called Slovenia, what could have been done to me. That was in one situation that involved this gangster, Dr. Igor Kotter, who have afterwards appeared in front of parents' house at 10:30 at night, believe it or not,
and came with idea. He drove from the city, not from his house or anything like that, but from the city, and he appeared for what was, he claimed, a random visit only. Yeah, a random visit at 10:30 at night. Yeah, and that basically within 5 minutes upon my arrival at home that night. That's pretty creepy, that's pretty crazy, and as I suggested in that video, this gangster was also involved in this type of ambulance situation, similar again as seen here, and was also posted online, as you see here, on February the 2009. Dates back to November the 29, 2007, when at approximately 5 o'clock or so, her wife Sonia, and in parenthesis a doctor, Iger, had visited residence from my parents, in a parenthesis parents. During their visit, I have politely suggested to them that due to previous situations which I encountered when dealing with them on the phone, to please be respectful, to be please use mutual respect as I did pay to them. And therefore I have asked them to not use any longer any faulty language and stuff like that, which, for instance, as documented here, have taken place during one of the calls. Just on one occasion, when he called, he would call, you know, and repeatedly ask me about the mother or father, as he referred to, and it's something I have repeatedly suggested him, asking him politely if he could use their names instead. Instead of Mama, I suggested him, or Mother, to please use her name Anna, yeah, and so on. It was a very violent reaction to my suggestion. If I read one here, it ended with a "fuck you, go to mother's vagina, you should be placed in a loony house," and so on. And this is what I have suggested them. I just asked them for mutual respect during their visit on November the 29th, 2007. Okay? When asking them politely to please use mutual respect, these people, and just to give you a little idea about this, Dr. Igor Kotar, this used to be a drunk. That's number one thing. The psychological and physical abuse was not a random thing, but he used to physically beat his wife Sonia in the past. This was an alcoholic whose son is dead, passed away in a car accident. And on this particular occasion, on November the 29th, 2007, the two, both of them, the Kotars, Sonia and Iger, began to threaten me in the face that I should take off my glasses so they could hit me. And I have in my mind her in particular. She got very upset with me and began to threaten how she will hit me in the face if I dare to take my glasses off. It's all documented online, okay? You guys want to read? All you need to do is you need to Google the title of this post, which is 2008 Between Life and Truth. It is a free world. Yeah, and here's my name. Here's my photo. Yeah, and you know what? I did took my glasses off. I want this, in a parenthesis, lady to give her frustration, to liberate herself from her frustration, so she could prove to everyone how she can hit me in the face, since she was so barbaric, if you like. And once I have taken the glasses off, she lost her temper, left. Her husband instead began to threaten me instead, Same as you have seen in that video. He pulled out the phone, that very same phone perhaps even, and began to threaten me how he will, via his connection, get ambulance vehicle immediately in order to get me in a loony house. Yeah? Do you know how that very same evening ended? It ended that just 2 hours later, at approximately 700 hours, as documented here, while in an evening walk in place Czechoslovakia, about 6-7 kilometers away from residence, an ambulance vehicle appeared. The ambulance vehicle drove slowly behind me and was stalking me till I stopped and I approached to a driver to ask him what is it all about? On what he asked me about particular address that involved another interrogator whose name was Gazvoda Loise. Yeah, it was exactly ambulance vehicle like this one here. This cellular phones from his pocket, it's something that it's not the first time that have taken place.
Det är smešno. Sve da je smešno. Zato su se po glasu tukaj. Ti vse, ok? Se razumemo? Ja se bom? Seveda se bom.
Okay, just so there's not going to be some misconceptions, I want to straighten things out. In respect to cannibalism, as described above, and I have in my mind my family, neighbors here, this society, this society, selected society, that have acted against me together with the family and all this garbage here with my cultural procedures. To set things straight, none of that, okay, none of that I have undergone later, at a later stage, when literally exposed to forced brain implants in Scandinavia, deep brain stimulation electrode implant in the United States. It was all done forcefully, under tremendous horror. Abuse could compare to what I have undergone in so-called Slovenia in 1998. This is severe. This crime was against me. United States of America government and Scandinavians could experiment together with Eastern European scum on me. I'm going to tell you just as pleased, because what have taken place against me in so-called Slovenia was so demonic, it was so cannibalistic that, like I have stated, you could do anything to me as long as I knew that I was out of this shithole. It was, situation was easing for me. It was a relieving situation. This is how bad things were here. This is what kind of beasts we're talking about. On my surprise, Ron Paul, Gingrich, and other politicians who knew very well about what have taken place here against me, and I have in my mind particular the situation as seen in that video where I have stated I've almost committed suicide at this very table where I sit right now in '98. They have instead suggested me to write about, to complain about the family. Literally, you would say, place the words in my mouth, how they are and this and that. The two individuals that accompanied the Norwegian crew of psychologists, psychiatrists, and I have in my mind in particular Jerry Harper as well as Nathan Rust. Nathan Rust, the latest, was my landlord in Seattle, Washington State during 2009 when I didn't have the right to rent, purchase. job or anything, but was literally compelled and stay with either as a roommate or as a sublease with people that were previously stationed in Miami. As I have explained on my blogs and previously stated, the situation was no different with, almost no different with the Jerry Harper. Jerry Harper is actually female. It's a male name, Jerry, but really it's a female who ended having sexual relationship with me in 2009 before I have left Seattle for Europe, for Austria. They both have interacted heavily with employment agency stuff in Miami downtown, and knowing all this stuff, being here with me during the 1998 abduction, these people have totally disregarded my hardship, and instead of they would, help me, assist me, since they knew exactly what was going on, what kind of family I had. I could tell you that instead of that, I was just stabbed more and more and more in my back. I was literally, the abuse was just gaining new and new highs. Another individual that was involved in this abduction in 1998 and have appeared in city of Nova Mesa during 1998 abduction was David Duke de la Puke, who was, at least what I was told, by Eastern European communist scum, pro-Belgrade, pro-Serbian, pro-Russian garbage, only willing to deal and assist David Duke. If I repeat, we are not willing to deal with anyone from the West, from any white nationalist. But if it's going to be, it's going to be David Duke. And this is how David Duke actually appeared in 1998. And let me tell you folks, this individual have ruined my life in the United States of America greatly, together with all other garbage. That's why I have stated the definition, which you can see.
With Belgian passports and a letter of introduction from an Islamic group in London, persuaded Masood to give them an interview. They began with some unexpected questions. Why are you against Osama bin Laden? Why do you call him a killer? Each exploded a bomb, one in the camera and the other in a suicide belt. Masood was dead.
شاید من اولین نفراتی بودم در دنیا که از موضوع مطلع شدم. پرسش مهم این که چرا احمد شاه مسعود این گونه ترور شده و چرا اصلا ترور شده در این مقطع، چه اتفاقی افتاده که دو نفر جان خودشون از دست دادن، دو نفر نیروی حرفه‌ای.
Iranian intelligence judged that only Al-Qaeda could have pulled off this complex hit. One obvious motive was to help their hosts, the Taliban. But it smelt of an international plot.
فکر می‌کردیم که آنچه که اتفاق افتاده پایان یک ماجرا نیست، آغاز یک ماجراست و فکر می‌کردیم که اتفاقات بیشتری در پیشه.
Massoud's other ally also smelled the rat.
Мы с президентом Бушем говорили, и я в разговоре с ним упомянул о том, что на днях был убит лидер Северного альянса в Афганистане Масуд. И я сказал тогда американскому коллеге, знаешь, меня это очень тревожит, такое чувство, что что-то должно произойти. Они явно к чему-то готовятся.
The next day was the 11th of September, 2001.
Мы с президентом Бушем говорили, и я в разговоре с ним упомянул о том, что на днях был убит лидер Северного альянса в Афганистане Масуд. И я сказал тогда американскому коллеге, знаешь, меня это очень тревожит, такое чувство, что что-то должно произойти. Они явно к чему-то готовятся.
The next day was the 11th of September, 2001.
Мы с президентом Бушем говорили, сказал тогда американскому коллеге, знаешь, меня это очень тревожит, такое чувство, что что-то должно произойти. Они явно к чему-то готовятся.
The next day was the 11th of September, 2001.
Такое чувство, что что-то должно произойти. Они явно к чему-то готовятся.
The next day was the 11th of September, 2001.
If I go back to why would I go any further than the subject of cannibalism, and as I stated, how much I was brainwashed on that, how I should, according to Gingrich and Romney, Ron Paul, talk about Eastern European communist scum. If I go back to that subject, and I really don't see the purpose, because I have already totally exposed them. One was using the other to create more and more crime against me, crime unlimited. And I'm not so weak that I'm going to be just choosing between the evil. It's exactly what these elections are. They want you to choose between Obama and Romney. The Romney and Obama are the same thing. Why would you have to choose between the evil and more evil, or evil and same evil, or exactly why Obama was elected? And that's what I'm about to talk to in the next video. I'm about to expose totally the pharmaceutical war declaration and the white race worldwide. I'm about to talk to you about the visit Gingrich, Romney, Perry, David Duke, Bachmann, and other politicians that were involved in this abduction during 1998 when I was brought here in so-called Slovenia, abducted, totally subjected to drugs, 2.5 months alone, right here in so-called Slovenia, thrown in like a live bait in a pool with the sharks. So they were doing with me as pleased, just as explained. On what I'm going to move to the next portion, titled as guilty before committing crime or standing a trial, and it's not, and that one also is not going to be as instructed by Gingrich or Ron Paul, as instructed by David Duke de la Puke. It's not. Let's just put it that way. It's not going to apologize. Eric Holder, Mark Potok. It's not going to apologize equal employment opportunity. It's not going to apologize United States of America Congress, United States of America government, crime, the genocide procedures, the swift genocide procedures against me as a targeted individual. They're not going to get that chance that they have severely anticipated. None of that that they anticipated is going to take place. I'm sure you have heard for the title David Duke, End of the White Nationalism. Well, since Assange have failed, since Anonymous have failed, the homosexuals, the minorities, all that terrorism that they have conducted against us have failed. Everything was divulged to the world. There's just one chance, one more scam that is left. Anything, in fact, at this point that the whole world already knows what is taking place, the United States of America government, together with the Eastern European communist scum, have used against us and against our families for the last 70 years. It's time to divulge the truth about the David Duke.
David Duke is without question the best known white supremacist leader in America today. That said, he is not anything like he was 10 or 15 years ago.
Huge tool that was used against me on behalf of my parents, together with the parents. In just 2005, in the beginning of 2005, end of 2004, ladies and gentlemen, I almost end up smacking David Duke in his head when abducted in Miami, transferred via airport and summoned, all drugged up in the garage where my car is parked, on what he requested for help, because I was unwilling to listen to that garbage, to subject myself to his violence, to his brutality, and was assisted by the neighbors that were involved in these abductions. Literally thrown piece of rag like this on my face, was filled with the drugs, whatever substance that had placed me into even deeper coma than I already was, all drugged up. They would throw me on, they would restrain me on portable bed. And according to the instructions of David Duke de la Puke, I was transported right back to Ljubljana airport for international flight back to Miami. Parents, I don't know if they got to see me at that point or not, literally pedophiles, the type of pedophile people that government assisted. And they were also willing to assist the government with a crime, so it's really great symbiosis with one another. But that didn't matter. According to David Duke, he panicked. He was like, just, Your Honor, he was telling his neighbors here that were involved in this crime also, you don't understand what problems this already have created me. Just get him back on the plane and go. This is getting too expensive for us. We can't afford this and that.
Your friend here, Senator John McCain, has said on Twitter that you could follow the fate of Muammar Gaddafi. Do you think it's an idle threat or a real plan by the West? Well, calling him a friend is probably an exaggeration. Although I have met Mr. McCain, I think it was at that memorable Munich security conference 4 years ago. Yes, I've seen that statement. What can I say? First, his words weren't meant for me, but for all of Russia. Some countries would want Russia to step aside, to get out of the way, stop interfering in the ruling of the world. They're still afraid of our nuclear potential. That's why Russia is always in the spotlight. That's why it's a pain in the neck of many. We have an independent foreign policy, and I hope it stays this way in the future. Of course, that's not very convenient for some people. Second, the West is not monolithic. We do have more friends than enemies. Third, Mr. McCain is known to have fought in Vietnam and believe he has enough civilian blood on his hands. Is it that he can't live without such horrible, disgusting sights as portraying Gaddafi? The whole world saw him being killed or bloodied. Is that democracy? And who did it? Drones, including American ones, delivered a strike on his motorcade. Then commandos, who were not supposed to be there, brought in so-called opposition and militants and killed him without trial. I'm not saying that Gaddafi didn't have to quit, but that should have been left up to the people of Libya to decide through a democratic process. It's a long and difficult way, but it's the only way to do it right. Mr. McCain was taken prisoner in Vietnam and was put not just in jail, but in a pit. He sat there for several years. Anyone would go nuts after that.
Real short comment on Putin's comment. It's completely normal for the Eastern European communist scum to anticipate people going crazy, nuts, after subjecting own population, or in my case, the way I was subjected to severe torture. If you want to call that torture, I still refer to this crap as cannibalism, as a Slavic cannibalism is how I refer to one as. They are not afraid to even admit that. They go public. This isn't Putin's personal philosophy. Yeah, it's what was given to Putin to state on a national TV. It's the way, it's their culture, it's how it is. And in my case, this gangster from my sister's husband, Mitya Weber, was assisted by one of the Russians. I would have Russians literally walking inside of the store from my ex-wife to come up to me in the face and threaten me, and one of the individuals that would come to threaten was the individual that you're about to see. And it was totally, for me, something that I had experienced on several occasions, her coming in my face telling me that after so much torture procedures and stuff, it's normal to go crazy. Don't worry.